Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am in sunny, spectacular Escondido, California. Happy to be bringing you yet another edition of the world's longest-running poker strategy podcast ever. I'm not alone this week. Once again, I have a guest. We are on a good streak here as far as having guests on the program, and this is a highly anticipated annual episode. I will be reviewing the newly released World Series of Poker summertime schedule with the Grand Master himself from Tournament Poker Edge. He's our head honcho, the CEO, the founder of Tournament Poker Edge, and my favorite streamer, Derek Killingbird Tenbusch. How are you, Derek?
I'm doing good. I feel even better after that awesome introduction. I sound very important.
I always try to hype you up. Right when we get things started, I like to try to make sure you feel good about yourself before you have to talk to me for 40 minutes.
I need it because I only get abuse on my Twitch stream, so it's nice to be talk to like an adult once in a while.
That's for sure. We actually both did a little twitching over the weekend. Why don't you tell people about the multi-stream deal that we had going?
Yeah, that was fun. You had reached out and said you had made day 2 of both of the mystery bounties on ACR, and I'd already made day 2 of one of them, and I managed to qualify for day 2 of the second the night before. So we were kind of both hyped up to stream those because I think we both love the mystery bounties. So we were kind of talking about ways we could do it where, we're not sort of stepping on each other's toes, capitalizing on the same audience or whatever. And yeah, we came up with a little solution where people could watch both and toggle between our chats. And it was a lot of fun. I unfortunately did very poorly. I scored one mystery bounty and it was the smallest one.
Oh,
and then I was out. You min cash pretty early in those things. So I also min cashed, but with the mystery bounties, it's not about that at all. You got to go deep and you got to get lots of bounties.
Yeah, you got to get in there. You got to get after it, try to get those prizes. My experience was, I guess, a little better than yours. But in the $20 mystery bounty where I had a really big stack, I had I think I had 80 big blinds or something like that with 300 players left. And yeah, I was in the top 12 or maybe top 10 in chips. And I just got into it with another chip leader. I had queens. He had ace king. And another guy had already gone all in before he went all in. So I was actually eligible for 2 different mystery bounties with my queens. And both of my opponents had ace king. So that's a lot of dead cards. And I was clean until the river. And then that stupid ace on the river ended things for me. I mean, I guess I had just a few chips after that, but it hurt. And then it was over. Not long after that. But I did manage to turn, I think, a slight profit in that tournament, and then I did a lot better in the $5, the one they call the dime mystery bounty. That one I even collected a couple of $50 bounties, which is not the minimum prize on that one. So yeah, it was fun, opening a few envelopes. I definitely busted a lot of people in both of these tournaments. So, but I bought into them like 20 times each. So who knows? I don't actually show a profit at all.
I did redeem myself a little bit by finishing, I think, the final 2 tables of the TPE free roll, which I never do well in. So I was kind of proud of myself for that.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. I mean, you hardly ever cash in the free roll, so that's pretty good.
It's true. I get wrecked in that thing. I don't know if it's because people are out to get me. I actually have a theory about that and my home game, which is that I really hate busting those because it's not fun for the stream, right? Like all of a sudden I'm just not in the event that is the featured event of the day or whatever. And I think I just play really bad as a result. Like I fold too much, I don't bluff. I don't run any, I don't take any risks. And I think the result is that I just blind down and then I lose a flip and I'm out.
Right. Yeah, that'll do it. So maybe you just got to say, look, guys, I might bust out on the first hand, but that's the way it goes sometimes. That's what happened to me playing in the tag team event at the World Series.
Yep, that's right.
on the very first hand, and poor Linger Longer didn't even get a chance to sit down. I was already out.
I always think about that whenever he comes in my chat. I think about that and I just laugh. I mean, it wasn't funny. I mean, it was kind of funny at the time. It was and wasn't,
If I remember, it had gone like raise, and then somebody 3-bet me, and I called with pocket eights, and the flop was like 8 deuce deuce. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. Get it all in on that flop, and the guy like overbet with this huge stack. Obviously, an amateur opponent that didn't know what he was doing. He had pocket aces. And I don't have to finish the story, but the turn card was an ace.
That was brutal.
Yeah, I'd probably play it the same next time, though.
Yeah, you don't want to go folding flopped full houses anytime soon.
I just put him on deuces right there. Got quads. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I thought the multi-stream was fun. People could kind of follow along with both of us at the same time. Maybe a little odd that I was on a 3-minute delay and you were not, but I guess it was okay.
Yeah, I was kind of curious how that was going to go, and it didn't seem to cause too much. I mean, granted, I wasn't watching from a viewer standpoint, so it's hard to say, but it didn't seem super confusing. The only thing I couldn't really do is like comment on things that maybe were happening to you. Like, if I had your table up and I saw that you busted, I couldn't say you busted because they wouldn't see it for 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I just basically I would look every once in a while to see how you were doing, but I wouldn't say anything, and then I would just close your table so that I didn't go, oh, Clayton busted.
Right. Yeah. And spoiler alert, he's going to be out for 3 minutes. Yeah. It was fun. I think we should absolutely do that again. That was really cool.
Yeah, we might have some fun opportunities pretty soon too, because there's a big series coming up. So
they seem like that site has a lot going on lately. So there's a lot of new tournaments that I was discovering. A little bit later, I'm going to share a hand that I played in another tournament on that site. So we'll get to that later. It was a PKO, a $30 PKO that I had a really fun, what I think is a pretty fun hand, blind versus blind. So we'll get to that later. But first, everybody looks forward to our annual look at the World Series of Poker schedule. Just came out last week. We've been excited to have a look at it and see what kind of events they have coming up. But Derek, my first question before we even get into this is the people want to know, are you going to be there?
My answer seems to be the same every year, which is we shall see.
Come on, I need a commitment right now in February. I need a commitment.
Yeah, so I'm doing. I think it must have been the same time last year that we went through the schedule, and I had mentioned that I was going to be doing a lot of traveling, and I'm in that same spot again. Me and my wife are doing some traveling in the early part of June. And then pretty much the whole month of July. So my window of opportunity if I do go, will be basically like the last 3 weeks of June.
Sure.
Which kind of works out okay because, we'll get to that section of the schedule, obviously, but there's some events in there that I like. So like if I could have picked the perfect, the perfect window, that probably would have been it for my purposes. The downside is I would miss the main, but I don't typically play the main anyway, so that's not the end of the world. But if I were to satellite in or have a big score online or something, then that might be a little bit of a bummer. But outside of that, most of the stuff that I like is in that little 3-week window. So that's a good point, in the right direction.
All right. Now you have played the main before, right? You played it a couple times, right?
Yeah, I've played it twice.
Yeah, I played it, I think, 12 times, and I only have 2 caches, which isn't great. But the 2 caches I have, I finished in the top 100, which is great. So yeah. I guess if I'm just a go big or go home kind of guy, I either bust day 1 or make day 6.
Which is not a bad approach to take.
Yeah, I guess so. So I make my caches really, really count. But anyway, guys, the World Series of Poker begins on May 27th with the $500 industry casino. Well, they used to call it the employees event, but now they call it the industry employees. I don't know why they changed the name. We have to point out, too, that the World Series of Poker does have a new owner, of course. GG Poker now owns the World Series of Poker, so that might reflect a few things. But one thing I noticed about the schedule before we got into it, Derek, the Flip and Go, one of my favorite events, is not on the schedule this year, which is odd because that was a GG Poker thing.
Ah, yeah, that's a good eye. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, I looked through all 100 bracelet events and I didn't see a flip and go on there. Maybe they're just going to do that strictly online this summer. I'm not sure. That's just speculation
Hmm.
on my part. But that opening day is the day after Memorial Day. Memorial Day is kind of early this year, May 26th. And so right away, we've got the casino employees and one of my favorite events, the $1,000 Mystery Millions. This is a mystery bounty tournament with $1 million guaranteed mystery bounty in the mix. It's got four starting flights from May 27th through the 30th, and I will probably play maybe 3 or 4 bullets on this one because it's just one of my favorite events.
I knew
That'll
you'd
be
be excited about that one.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. There was one year when I was working with Jim Jeffries. I had I bagged like one of the top 20 stacks in the mystery millions on Thursday. Then I had 2 shows at the Mirage with Jim Jeffries on Friday and Saturday, and then came back Sunday for day 2 of that mystery millions. That was an unforgettable experience. Like, who's having the best weekend of his life right now? It was just, yeah, like a dream. I'm working with one of my favorite comedians ever, performing in this beautiful theater, and I'm also getting to play in my favorite kind of poker tournament. Let's not get into the fact that despite having 200 big blinds on day 2, I didn't collect any envelopes. Let's just gloss over that. Let's
Now
gloss over
I don't feel so bad now about my Sunday performance.
Yeah, I mean, these things do happen. No, I was wrong. There is a flight E. It's 5 starting days
Oh
for the
wow.
Mystery Million. So, yeah, you have up all the way starting on Tuesday, all the way up until Saturday to buy into that thing. And then day 2, of course, would be Sunday, June 1st. Also on June 1st, there's a $600 deep stack for the low rollers. And then event number 11 is a $10,000 mystery bounty for the high rollers. So we got 2 extremes in the same building going on there. 10K mystery bounty that early in the summer too. Wow,
That
that's
is
for the
wild.
true gamblers, right? I mean, that is really for the true gamblers. But there's no guarantee or anything. Like in the 1K, they're guaranteeing at least $1 million mystery bounty prize, but I don't think there are any guarantees. They're going to kind of play it by ear and see how many people turn out for this thing.
Yeah, I think they guarantee $1 million for first place in the Mystery Millions too.
Yeah, they do. You're right. That's a good point. Yeah, so that's why that's a super fun tournament to play, and it attracts a wide range of player types. So you just kind of be ready for whatever happens on that one. It's cool. There's a $1,500 mixed PLO high low 8 or better, Omaha high low 8, and Big O on June 2nd, and that's nice because they don't always have kind of these wild mixed game tournaments at that buy-in level of only $1,500. Let's see. On June 3rd, there's a $600 PLO deep stack. This tournament is very special to me because I think that's the one that is my one and only World Series of Poker final table that I've ever made was in a PLO.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
I think that's the same tournament. So I'm hoping to have obviously a few more final tables this summer. Who wouldn't want that? Also on that same day, there's a 2K No Limit Hold'em, just regular old tournament. The 10K Dealer's Choice is June 3rd. And then the Colossus, Derek, right off the bat, they're doing the Colossus early this year. Wednesday, June 4th, it starts. There's Flight A, Flight B, let's see, Flight C, and Flight D. So you've got 4 days to buy in to the Colossus, which is a $500 tournament. With that many starting days, they're going to get quite a prize pool for that one. Oh, this is an event I like. I played this last year. They changed it a little bit this year. On Friday, June 6th, there's a $1,500 pot limit Omaha double board bomb pot game. So what do you think about that?
I think that sounds like something I would be out of within about 30 minutes.
Not quite what it sounds like. Last year they alternated between No Limit Hold'em and PLO, but it's only one double board bomb pot right when I think it's like every 10 hands or maybe like every time the dealer changes. So it's not that every single – otherwise it's just a normal PLO tournament. But they're doing basically what we typically do at a lot of poker rooms around the country, which is when you first start a new level or a new dealer, whatever the case may be, we do this double board bomb pot. And for those who don't know, every player has to put in an ante, and then they deal a flop. The 2 of them, it's double board, so you're going to deal 2 flops. And then you can look at your 4 cards and figure out how they interact with those 2 flops. And everybody's in. So there's no option to fold pre-flop. And so it kind of makes for some wild action. Any experience with double board bomb pots, Derek?
None. In fact, I've only really played PLO or PLO8 or any of those kind of games when I've accidentally registered them online. So that's why I suspect I'd be out pretty quick. I have trouble figuring out if my hand is a winner with 4 cards, but 4 cards and 2 boards, I would really be confused.
Yeah, it does create some. And last year it was fun because a lot of the players that were in it were No Limit Hold'em players trying to join us PLO guys. And so that was fun because they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah. It seems like it should just be easier to win, right? Well, I have 4 cards. How can I lose? But it never seems to work that way for me.
Yeah, when you first start learning PLO, if you start with No Limit Hold'em, that is a big mistake people make. It's like, oh, I've got twice the chances of winning. No, your hand must be that much better in order for you to beat everybody. It's like the average winning hand in a PLO bomb pot is probably like at least a straight. I don't know. Maybe better than that. Anyway, on Sunday, June 8th, there's a $600 mixed No Limit Hold'em PLO tournament that I am sure will be wild and loose, and I'm probably going to be playing that one. They've got a few different price points this year. There are more $2,500 no limits, more $3K freeze outs than they've had in the past. They seem like they're trying to get that mid-stakes grinder a little bit more satisfaction. Because in previous years, especially recently, it's either been you could play the $500 Colossus or the $50K high roller. They're trying to please everybody, though.
If crypto doesn't start going back up, everyone might be playing the 500s. So.
Yeah. Well, a record field for the Colossus. As of the time of this recording, I saw Bitcoin was down to like 82,000 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good. All right. So then you've got the 1,500 limit hold'em for the 7 people in the world who still play that game. That'll be fun.
Do you play any limit? You must have limit in the cash game days.
When I first started playing in casinos, the games that you could find were pretty much limit, hold'em, and 7-card stud. That's how it was at like the Showboat Casino in Atlantic City and places like that. The Sands that doesn't even exist anymore in Atlantic City. They used to have like a $1 to $5 to $5 7-card stud game. So I mean, you will never find a 7-card stud. It's very hard to find them anywhere. Maybe in Bellagio, higher stakes during the WSOP, but that's about it.
Yeah.
On June 10th, Derek, we've got a $1,500 No Limit Hold'em Super Turbo Bounty, a one-day event that's probably going to get about 2,000 players, give or take. Every player is a $300 bounty. I love this tournament because it's all action. Everybody goes crazy in that tournament.
Yeah, that event would be a lot of fun. I've played, I think, 2 bounties at the World Series. And you're right. The action is really good because people just see that bounty chip and they're like, I want it.
Yeah, they want that bounty. And it's also super turbo, which means the blinds go up aggressively every 20 minutes. So, yeah, we've got to get this thing done. It starts at 10 a.m. It's probably over by midnight.
Yeah.
2,000 people gone because everybody's trying to get the bounties and they're also trying to raise those blinds. So it's
yeah. And there's not a lot of WSOP events you can play and be done in a day. So I think it's attractive for, especially, the people who are grinding the whole series. They love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the opposite extreme of that is I know this is one of your favorite events, starting June 11th, is the $1,500 No Limit Hold'em Monster Stack. I know this is your favorite tournament, right?
I would say it's my second favorite. But I love it. I love deep stack stuff. And maybe that's because I'm a bit of a nit. So it gives you lots of play. But yeah, I love the Monster Stack. And this is kind of getting into that window where this is in the time frame where I could actually make it out to Vegas. So that was the first one I eyed up. I was like, that could be fun. Yeah,
so the first flight is June 11th. And the last flight, the last chance to buy into that one is Saturday, June 14th. So like you said, Derek, right in the middle of June, you could actually arrive that day and get into the Monster Stack. You can buy into the Monster Stack around dinner break and still have like 400 big lines, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'd have to get early because I play best with a hangover. So I have to get there early the day before.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah. Get your drink on.
Till 2 a.m. and then go play.
And then if you win it, you can enter event number 46, the $250,000 super high roller no limit hold'em event. It'll be you, David Peters, Dominic Nisha. It'll be fun. I think you guys will have a lot of fun doing that. You do that. Have a good time. Maybe not. All right. The 1K seniors, two days of entry for the 1K senior event number 48. That begins June 16th.
I'm a senior now.
Yeah.
I qualify, so
all right.
That might be in my wheelhouse.
You probably have a big I would say a big edge over the field, right? I mean, you probably do well against the average 85-year-old, don't you think?
I would like to think so, but man, I don't know. I've played with some recently who owned my soul the entire time, so I think these old codgers are catching on.
Yeah. Yeah, they're tired of us whippersnappers pushing them around.
Yeah.
Guys, 50. Yeah. So my favorite event. Oh, by the way, Derek, a minute ago you said that the Monster Stack is your favorite. Is your second favorite. What's your favorite?
I just love the tag team.
Oh, right, the tag team.
I think I've played it 3 times now, and I always have like the most fun.
The tag team is so awesome, based on the one hand that I've ever played in it.
Yeah, because we, my side of the 2 tag teams, we went relatively deep, and
yeah, you guys almost cashed. You were close.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, it's fun just because it's a very relaxed atmosphere. Everyone's just kind of hanging out, having a good time. Nobody seems to take it super seriously. Like, there's good players, obviously, and it's a lot of money, so people are playing serious. But it just seems like everyone kind of lets their guard down a little bit during that tournament.
No, I definitely know what you mean. It's not that they don't take it seriously. It's just that the spirit of it, it doesn't cost you that much. It's $1,000 per team. So, if you and a buddy enter, it's $500 each. And that's on June 24th, by the way. And so I don't know if I'm going to be entering that, or if you and I are going to play it together maybe, or what's going on. But you're right. That is a really fun event. And it's normally such a solo project, right, to be a tournament player. And just having somebody on the rail that is rooting for you, and that you get to root for him as well. It is a good time. It's
also really nice that, like, sometimes, if you're, I don't know, maybe you're tilted or you're hungry or you have to use the restroom, it takes that stress out of it because you just tag your partner in and go do what you got to do, and then you come back.
Yeah, you can tap out. You can tap out if you need to for a little bit. A lot of good tournaments around this time frame. Also, back to June 17th, you've got the 1,500 No Limit Hold'em freeze out, which there aren't as many freeze outs this year as there were last year. And I think the reason why is because the rake, they want us to buy in again. They want us they want to rake us one more time.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, the lower buy-ins, the rake has been increased this year, which is bad news for the smaller stakes players. Most of the higher buy-ins, like 3K and up, are the same as they were last year, but anything from 1,500 down, they've increased the rake a little bit. And so that's kind of bad news, because any money that doesn't go to the prize pool is bad for the players, right? So
yeah, I saw somebody tweet out about that today, actually. And,
oh,
it's kind of unfortunate too, because it just kind of feels like, and there may be an explanation beyond this, but it feels like they're raising the rake on the people who don't know better. You know what I mean? Yeah. They know that the guys playing the 5Ks and 10Ks understand the effect of rake.
Sure.
But I think they also know that the group of 5 people who fly in from Oklahoma to play don't necessarily know that.
Right. They're recreational. They're just going for a good time, and that's it. So yeah, I'm kind of mad about it. Like, you guys didn't make enough money last year.
Yeah.
Series of Poker. I think I read somewhere they make like $100 million off the rake. Okay. All right. Well, you can have some then, I guess. Anyway, not going to get too negative today. We're excited about the schedule. The Millionaire Maker, my favorite event. It's got 4 starting flights this year, beginning on Wednesday, June 18th. So that one's fun because for $1,500 buy-in, there's a guaranteed first place prize of at least $1 million. So that's exciting. That's why they call it the Millionaire Maker.
Yeah, that was another one that I saw and I was eyeing up, because that would kind of be a nice warm up or a first, I guess a nice first event to come out to, play that, and then go right into, I don't know, there's a no limit hold'em freeze out, and then there's the tag team. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a good little back to back to back situation.
Yeah, and you just have to pick one day. If you just want to do one buy-in, you can just pick any one of those 4 days, depending on what your schedule or your hangover schedule allows.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, June 22nd, here's a brand new event. It's a 1K Battle of the Ages. And if you're 50 years of age or older, you have to play at 10 a.m. senior special, right? You guys get up early, drink some coffee. So, and then the afternoon flight that starts at 4 a.m., you have to be under 50, so 49 years of age or lower. And then you play in this flight. And then the next day, all the old guys and all the young guys are going to be together for day 2. And so it's Battle of the Ages, where it's like a seniors event for day 1 only. And then you have to play against the whippersnappers after that. So that
I saw that, and I'm like, I hate this concept. It just kind of seems dumb. And I feel bad for, like, you know, all the 25-year-old kids who have to play against the better. We're obviously doing some stereotyping here, but that's what we do in poker. You know, you gotta figure out who's who and what's what. But then I was thinking, well, I'm over 50, so I can play that whole first part of the tournament with all people like me. So maybe I like it.
Well, I mean, you'll be the youngest one at your table, almost certainly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I might actually end up firing it, even though I kind of don't like the concept. I don't hate it, but I don't know. It just seems kind of a weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another gimmick, and maybe like another chance to try to keep the seniors in town a little bit longer. After they bust out of the regular seniors event, they might say, well, I'll stay for the weekend and take a shot at that Battle of the Ages thing. But we'll see what kind of turnout it gets. It's a brand new event. There aren't any like groundbreaking, like super groundbreaking new events on the schedule this year. Like, I remember when they first announced the Mystery Bounty, it ended up not happening because they announced it in the year that they ended up canceling the WSOP because of COVID. And then the Win took it and said, I like this idea. I'm going to do it. And now everybody has Mystery Bounties because you just can't trademark something like that. But yeah, it was originally on no one remembers this, but the 2020 World Series of Poker schedule that came out in like February of 2020 before the world ended for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Included the first ever. I don't think they called it Mystery Bounty. It had some other name. But yeah, that's a little bit of poker history there. And then that whole schedule ended up getting canceled. And by the time anybody knew what was going on, the Win was running the first ever Mystery Bounty event in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You can't play this one, Derek. Event number 64. That's the 1K Super Seniors. I think you have to be at least 65.
I just hope to live long enough to play that one someday.
Someday, but not anytime soon. Of course, that one coincides with the tag team event, your favorite, on June 24th. And then the next day, it's a $300 bracelet event, the Gladiators of Poker, with a $3 million guaranteed prize pool. I have never played this event, but every time I've been around when it was going on, it just looks like a mob scene. Everybody's 10-handed. The line to register is 6 miles long. People don't know what they're doing. It's just kind of a storm, if you will. Have you ever played the $300 Gladiators of Poker event?
I haven't. I played the Colossus one year, but that was the closest I've come to playing this sort of big multi-flight. And they allow, I think, it's two re-entries too per flight. So
per flight, yeah.
I'll be staying as far away from the halls of the casino as I can that day, unless I'm still in the tag team, which hopefully I am.
Yeah. Well, it runs from June 26th to June 28th. Those are your starting flights for that one. It is, I mean, it's obviously a great value for somebody who wants to have the experience of playing in a World Series event, but maybe has little or no bankroll. Almost everybody, I think, that can go to Vegas can also afford $300 for a buy-in to this tournament, and to have a shot at a share of a $3 million guaranteed prize pool. It's hard to find anything that compares to that anywhere in the world for just $300, right?
Yeah, I do think it's good. I know some people kind of dislike these smaller buy-ins for bracelet events. They feel like it takes away some of the prestige or whatever. But I think it's cool that they got stuff that's sort of an intro tournament, that maybe gets some people excited about the WSOP and they save up a bigger bankroll for next year and they come back and play more stuff. So I think it's cool that they have it. I just hate lines, so I might just jump on a plane when that kicks off.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of lines. It'll be hard to walk through the hallways. Like that's kind of the downside when something is as popular as these events are. That it makes it a little bit hard to navigate and stuff. Although I have to say, give them credit for last year. They had a really good system. I never really stood in any super long lines. You could do things on your phone that you couldn't do before. And there's some talk that they might be able to get that going as they did in the Bahamas this year for WSOP Paradise. Maybe they'll be able to get the automated app working where you can just buy in directly from your phone and not even have to ever stand in a line all summer long. That sounds like a fantasy come true.
That would be great. And I did hear that, like you said, it wasn't as bad last year. I think what I remember is sort of the first or second year they ran this kind of event. I think it was called something different. Maybe it was just called the Gladiator.
It could be, or it might be that original Colossus years ago.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe.
Crazy. I think that one was a $365 buy-in, and it was like, I don't know, like millions and millions of dollars in the prize pool. It was unbelievable. Yeah. That was the first time they had done like a low buy-in for the WSOP. Now there are obviously many. There's like a $500 freeze out. There's all these much smaller events. So it used to be the lowest you would find throughout the whole summer would be $1,500.
Yeah.
But obviously they've lowered some things. They want to attract all types of poker players with all different bankroll levels and experience levels. And one just for the ladies on that same day, June 26th, ladies only, No Limit Hold'em Championship. Ladies Championship is June 26th, 1K buy-in. I'm sure that'll get a huge field as it always does. And that the other casinos that have poker will also offer their own ladies event. So it kind of becomes ladies week around town. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cool. And I do notice that they have the buy-in listed as 1,000 for women and 10,000 for men. So dudes, stay away.
It's a 10K, but if you're female, you get $9,000 discount. That's
yeah.
It. Yeah. Then you've got the 10K Super Turbo Bounty one-day event, a 10K one-day event where each player is a $3,000 bounty. I actually played in this tournament 1 year. I think it was 2 years ago. I ended up getting a terrible seat just between two really well-established pros, Steven Song and Gail Bauman. So that was a terrible seat at a really tough table. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't be buying into home events that are $10,000 that aren't the main. Might be my last one there. I mean, I can hold my own, but I prefer to feel like I have a skill edge. And I know that on that lineup, I did not, at least not at my table. Let's see. Oh, we've got the mini main. They're doing something different this year with the mini main event, which is two different starting flights, Sunday the 29th or Monday the 30th of June. You can buy into the 1K mini main. This is just the same structure as the main event, except instead of 2-hour levels, it's 30-minute levels. But the starting stack and the levels themselves are exactly the same. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That'd be a fun one to play.
Yeah, and for some people, that ends up being their main event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have the $10,000 to buy in to the real championship, so they play that one instead, and they kind of get the same experience. Although that 30-minute levels, going from 30-minute levels to 2-hour levels is quite a departure. That's why the main takes like 2 weeks to play, and this one's done in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something called the Poker News Deep Stack Championship, which is July 1st, event number 78. Let's see, $800 summer celebration. That's 4th of July weekend. That is July 2nd and 3rd. You can buy in for the summer celebration. And, of course, the main event starts July 2nd, $10,000, the World Championship. That's the tournament that most of us dream of winning. And I've come relatively close a couple times, so I probably dream about it more than most.
Or have nightmares about it.
Yeah. Everybody knows the main event, of course. There's the same weekend that the main event starts, there's a $2,500 No Limit Hold'em freeze out. a 1K No Limit Hold'em, no gimmick on July 4th, just a regular old 1K, just like Grandma used to play. And then things get fun on Sunday, July 6th. Remember, this is the opening weekend of the main event, which is, for some people, their only trip to Vegas all year is to, take their shot at the main event. And then when they bust out, what are they going to play? How about a $600 No Limit Hold'em Ultra Stack, the 6th and 7th, 2 different starting flights. And then on the 8th, there's a 1K Mystery Bounty PLO. And if I am not in the main event anymore, I promise you can find me playing that tournament. That sounds like all the things I love all together.
You can always multi-table both.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm running back and forth, try to get a mystery bounty, and also play day 5 of the main event. That sounds fun. The 3K Mid Stakes Championship is back. That starts the weekend that starts July 9th. There are 2 different starting flights for that one. Lucky Sevens is back. That's a fun tournament. 7-7-7-7-7-7 guaranteed for first place. 7-handed. Everything that can involve sevens is included in that tournament. I guess if you play a lot of craps, you don't want to play that tournament because sevens are unlucky or something.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah. I played that at least one year, maybe. I don't remember if I played it more than once, but there's 2 things I always remember about that tournament. One is that I played with Jamie Kerstetter, and 2, there was nothing better than playing at a 7-handed or 6-handed table. It's just, especially towards the end of the series when you're just tired of being around people and stuck at 10-handed tables.
Not some fat guy spilling over into my seat.
Yeah.
With his kneecaps. I love that. A little bit of leg room goes a long way, especially with the tables that they use for the World Series of Poker. They're kind of designed to be close together, so you don't really have a ton of room when you are 10-handed in something like the $300 Gladiator or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get that opportunity. I like this event a lot. I've never done well in it, but I like the concept. Event number 92, it's called the Poker Hall of Fame Bounty. So the players who are in the Poker Hall of Fame and still alive get to buy into this for free. And if you bust them, you win a bounty prize that equals the year they were inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame. That's
a cool concept.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty popular tournament. It's a 2-day event, so it doesn't cost you a whole week to play it or whatever. And now here in the home stretch, we've got the $800 deep stack on Sunday, July 13th. So that's very affordable. 3K 6 max PLO. I might play that one July 13th. That could be a really fun tournament. 6-handed PLO it tends to get a little bit wild. There's a lot of action associated with that format. Let's see. We've also got the closer. This year, there's only one starting day for the closer. In previous years, it was maybe 3 different starting flights. No, this year, Monday, July 14th is your only chance to play the closer. And it's poorly named because it's not the last tournament. There's another tournament. The same day, 2 hours later, is the 25K horse. And then the next day, there's a 5K No Limit Hold'em 8 max. And then the last tournament is actually event number 100, the 1K Super Turbo No Limit Hold'em 1-day event. No bounties or anything like that. Just a regular good old-fashioned speed round of poker. And that's it for your WSOP schedule.
That Super Turbo Event 100 is probably a pretty good one to play, because I bet you there's a lot of people who are just ready to punt it off and go home.
You know what you should do? You should show up in Vegas on July 14th, play the closer,
and catch everybody at their worst.
Yeah, everybody's over it. Everybody's on tilt. Everybody's stuck $100,000. And you're probably right. I'll bet it is quite obscene on that final day of that one.
And it's cool because you can hang around and watch the main event final table.
Yeah, you'll be there for that too. That's a great point. You know what? You're talking me into it. Maybe I'll just wait till the end.
No, you're one of those people who's over it by then too. You'll be on your way back to New York City.
Yeah, right. What I usually like to do is right in the middle somewhere around the ladies' event is when I usually take a break. One year I went and I did there's a place called Las Vegas Water Sports, and I had actually won a gift certificate to go check it out at one of Matt Stout's charity series of poker events. I busted somebody or whatever. I don't remember. Maybe I made a final table or something. But anyway, I got this prize where I could spend like, I don't know what it was, $300. And I tried some different stuff. Like I forget what it's called now, but you have like jetpacks underneath your feet and you're kind of like water skiing, but then you're like up in the air and there's water coming out of your feet. It's really fun.
Nice.
I'll do something like that for like 3 or 4 days just to get my head straight again. And I kind of consider that almost like a halftime break about halfway through the summer where I just really need to kind of get my head right and make sure that I've shaken off any bad beats or coolers I may have had, any mistakes I might have made, and that I'm ready to get focused for the remaining tournaments, which obviously include the main, which is what I'm really there for. So you don't want to be burned out on day one of the main event, or you have no chance.
Yeah. Back when I used to go for the whole summer, one year I went home in the middle for like 5 days or something, and it was the best decision I ever made. Like I came back feeling so much better.
Whatever FOMO you might have felt on the flight home, it's still worth it because when you come back, you're recharged and rejuvenated. I mean, look, everybody's different. Some people, they can just literally grind every day. They take no days off. They're there for 7 weeks and they just play poker every single day. I can't do that. I have to at least like take 1 day of mental health per week and get some air, go to the pool maybe, go for a hike, something else. I'm crazy. I'll go for a hike in the summer. I don't care.
Well, and if you're Phil Hellmuth, you can't even play like 10 straight days. So, he might need a break too.
What do you think he was going for? Like, if he decided not to play, what do you think he was going for with making such a big deal about it? Did he think that everybody was going to jump on his little poker brat bandwagon or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it seems odd because, I mean, he grinds pretty hard all summer. Like, I'm sure he gets a day off here and there, but it just seemed, it seemed weird. I'm not sure if you talked about this on previous episodes, but I'm 100% convinced he plays.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually talked about it at all on the podcast, but I would agree with you. If somebody wanted to make a bet with me about whether Phil Hellmuth actually enters the main event this year or not, I would absolutely lay a price on him playing. He will play.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get some attention to the fact that it's a grueling grind or whatever. But the way I see it, if Doyle Brunson played it the year before he died, I think Phil Hellmuth is young enough to probably stick it out.
Yeah. And look, I get it. I'm getting older and it is a grind and it's hard to do successfully and do it at your peak, performance. But I don't know, like, do we start making the NFL season 6 weeks long so that 50-year-old guys can play football? I don't, it's just kind of like at some point you age out of things. It's just the way it goes.
No, exactly. I agree with you, Derek. It's like if you think you're too old for the game, maybe this is kind of like a semi-retirement announcement from Hellmuth. He's only going to play the events that he feels like he has the stamina to hang in there and play. Maybe he's just going to be like a seniors event guy or a super turbo guy from now on or something like that. But yeah, just trying to make everybody else agree with him. The thing that I love about the World Series of Poker is that there are a lot of things I love, but one thing I really love is just the great variety. You'll be walking to play day 2 of your $600 Ultra Stack tournament. You'll pass somebody who's on his way to the $250,000 high roller.
Yep.
And we're inhabiting the same space. And that's one thing I think is kind of cool about it.
Yeah, I love that. And they have the dailies going on as well the whole time. So you can, you'll see people who don't even really play poker, but they're coming over from the casino to check out the World Series of Poker. They'll end up buying into one of these like $70 tournaments or whatever.
Yeah, they have daily deep stacks. They have satellites to see if you want maybe try to get into the main event for cheap. And they haven't announced any of those events yet, just the main schedule. There's also going to be, I'm sure, at least 20 or 30 online bracelet events to go along with 100 live events. And they also haven't really talked yet about the Tournament of Champions, which I think is probably going to happen in LA again as part of the series at the Commerce Casino. And a lot of people are unhappy about that because they don't want to go to LA and then have to go to Vegas. They liked it better when it was all in one place, but usually it's a business decision when things like that change. That's just how life is.
Yep.
So more to come on all of this, but that's your main schedule, the highly anticipated schedule of events. So Derek, I want your firm commitment right now that you're going to be there from what date to what date. Go.
I will be there. No, I can't give you a firm commitment, but I can promise you I'm going to try.
All right. Maybe we could do another meetup at Ellis Island, my favorite place off the strip.
Yeah, we got to do that for sure. Well, and it's always good too because it gives us an opportunity to record some content. So.
All right. So let's go through and talk about a poker hand, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So before we do, there have been a lot of hands discussed recently on the podcast that I haven't had a chance to review yet with GTO Wizard, but I do plan on doing that next week. Next week's episode will be me kind of going back and looking at like the hand that Alex Fitzgerald played and a hand that I talked about from last year's World Series main event, I think 3 weeks ago now on the podcast, and also the hand that we're about to go over today. And we're going to find out what GTO Wizard has to say about the decisions that the players made. We've also got a great deal for you. GTO Wizard is the easiest solver poker trainer program that I've ever seen in my life. They're a great partner for this podcast because our listeners are the exact market that they're going for. Other solvers are very difficult to use and it's hard to figure out what they're even trying to tell you. GTO Wizard is user-friendly and its artificial intelligence is incredible, and you can learn so much about what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong in the world of No Limit Hold'em. If you want to try it out for 24 hours, absolutely free, click the link in the description of this podcast episode. And then when you are ready to buy, after that 24-hour free trial, you'll save 10% off your first purchase. And the link is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. All right, so Derek, I was playing some online PKO action, a $33 PKO. My table was just four-handed at the time that I played this hand, which is odd because we weren't yet in the money. It's just one of those things sometimes where, like, for balancing, you end up at a four-handed table. It wasn't a short-handed tournament. It was a normal eight-handed PKO event. We weren't in the money yet, but registration was closed. So it's kind of late in the game. I start off, let's see. Well, first off, there's an ante, 450 per player, and the blinds are 1,800 and 3,600, and we've got 128,000, which is about 35 big blinds. Okay, that is right around average for this point in the tournament. Two of my opponents have me covered, and one of them does not. Remember, it's four-handed table. So the action goes fold, fold, and now the small blind limps in. And I am in the big blind with the 8 of spades, deuce of spades. Now, I know if you were playing blackjack, you would say double down. But what do you want to do in poker instead?
I think we just check. One of my old coaches loved just putting in a min raise here.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Basically, with any hand against a limp, he would just min raise and then just bet any flop no matter what. And I think his argument was just basically that people rarely are limping strong there, and they're also not going to hit the flop all that often. So you're just going to win like so often. I don't do it because I'm not as good as him probably, but I just generally check. I feel like we have a nice, it's not a great hand, but it's a suited hand, and we're going to have position. So I'm happy to see a flop.
Well, that's an interesting strategy there. I haven't actually heard that one before. But I guess what I like about it is when it doesn't work, it only costs me 3 big blinds.
Yeah, and we would defend this hand to a min raise, I think, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
From the small blind.
Yeah.
So why not take the aggression? We become the aggressor. We now have the better range. And it just, it looks pretty strong.
Yeah. Well, I don't hate it. I mean, we've got if you do limp from the small blind and then the guy just clicks it on you, min raises to 2 big blinds, it's kind of like, well, okay, I guess I call, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's pretty odd. It's a strange play, but I can see why theoretically it might work. Most of our listeners who have also watched me play on Twitch, which I have been doing about twice a week lately. I've been trying to get on Twitch more often. But one thing I like to do is limp with a lot of strong hands when it's blind versus blind for that exact reason. And then I can put in that surprise 3-bet when the guy just thought he was going to take it down. But I haven't really seen much min raising from the big blind. It's interesting. I should mention the small blind does have us covered, and he strikes me as a decent but not particularly aggressive or scary opponent. So we have the 8 deuce of spades, and now with 9,000 in the middle and hero with the effective stack of 124,000, the flop comes jack of clubs, 9 of hearts, tray of diamonds. So jack 9 tray with no spades. I have nothing, Derek. I have 8 high. I guess I could backdoor my way into the bottom end of a straight.
So that isn't nothing. You have something.
And villain checks. Would you ever bet this flop?
Yeah, I think I would like a bet here. For basically the same reasons, even though we played it a little differently. I think for the same reasons. Like, he's just going to check fold a lot here. I don't know. It's hard to put somebody on a small blind range here. Like, I don't know what we give him for a range. I think his range is basically like 80% of hands or something. So he's just all over the place with what he could have. But I kind of just like betting, and it probably also is going to make it so that he's not going to bet the turn. Like, even if he calls, he's not going to bet the turn. So then if we do turn some sort of like, straight draw, we can just check or whatever we want to do.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. So at this point, I decided to bet. But let me ask you this. What should we bet? There's 9,000 in the middle.
I'm just sort of banking on him having nothing. I don't think we're going to fold out any straight draws or even like, we're not going to fold out a 9 or a 3 or a jack, obviously. So I would just bet small. And if he just has air, he folds. And if he doesn't, we're going to know pretty quick. So I'd probably go like a third.
Yeah. So I bet the minimum, which is 3,600 into 9,000, which is roughly 1/3 of the pot. So I bet exactly 1 big blind. I figure I'm getting a good price. It only has to work like 1 time out of 3 to basically break even. It probably works more often than that because, like you mentioned, he's got like 80, maybe more, maybe 90% of hands, especially at a 4-handed table. A lot of players are very reluctant to fold anything. So they don't want to get blinded off, so they got to get in there. So I bet 3,600, and villain calls, and now the turn pairs the board with another jack, the jack of diamonds. So our board is now jack of clubs, 9 of hearts, tray of diamonds, jack of diamonds. So a backdoor flush draw has shown up. I still have nothing at all. I have 8 high, and villain checks again. Do you want to double barrel this?
So it's a little bit tricky because the jack is not. I don't think he has a lot of jacks because he would have raised his jack 10s, his queen jacks, his king jacks. But also, this makes it really easy for him to call with a 9 or a 3, and also any pair. I think he would have raised those pre too. But even if he just has like 4s or something, like it's now hard for us to have a jack. So I just don't know how often, unless he's still on air. I don't know how often we get him to fold really anything. I'd probably give up here, but I have a feeling that's not in your wheelhouse.
I mean, to be fair, 90% of the time, I think I would probably just give up once he called me on the flop. And now this ugly card, it's ugly in the sense that it makes it easier, like you say, for him to call with anything. Even if he just limped in with like pocket deuces, it might be because it's that much less likely that I have anything. Now that you see the board pair, it just makes it more likely that I have the kind of hand that I have. I just felt like I'm going to go all the way with this one. So I'm going to bet big on the turn with the intention of betting big on the river again, unless it's really a bad card. I put him on something like a 3 or maybe a 9, but obviously I don't think he has a jack a lot. And I think that I can represent that jack with another bet. So to be clear, I'm not saying you should do this every single time, but it just felt like the time. And also, we have to remember, we're not in the money yet. And it's less important to be in the money or out of the money when you're playing in a PKO, but it does matter, especially to some players. So that's another consideration. And we're about 70 or 80 players off the money. So it's not exactly bubble time. But, this guy has a nice, healthy stack. He probably doesn't want to have fewer chips than I have sitting on his left. So I thought that this turn barrel would probably get him off of whatever he called us with on the flop a good percentage of the time. And my sizing was 14K into 16K. So it's a serious bet I've made, 7/8 of the pot. And Villain took a long time before finally calling. So I'm not sure what the timing has to do with anything, whether it's important. What's your view? You play a lot more online poker than I do, Derek. Do you really read much into whether a guy takes a little bit longer to make a decision or whether he calls you very quickly?
I only really read into it in certain situations, especially knowing that so many people multi-table. They could have just been in a big hand on another table or something, which is what caused the long tank. But I do often mention on my stream that when somebody tank like jams, they always have it. Like they're trying to make it look like, this is such a hard decision for me. Okay, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Obviously, we never use the words always in poker, but often they often have it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't read too much into it, I don't think.
All right. So he calls, and it takes him a little while. And now the river comes the 5 of spades, which is an absolute brick. All right. Jack 9, 3, Jack 5. No flush came in. No straight came in. No nothing came in. So our opponent checks to us one more time. And now with 44,000 in the middle, we've got 106 in our remaining stack. He checks again. Should I give up and just show down 8 high and probably almost never win with it? Or should I fire again now that we've gotten to this point?
So it is a good card for if your plan is to bomb the turn, bomb the river. It's the perfect card for it, I think. First I'll say I would have given up on the turn, and I probably would definitely give up now. But I kind of, looking at it, I kind of don't hate it. I'm just trying to figure out, like when I think about what he, limps in from the small blind with, I'm just trying to figure out what he has that he can call a big bomb with, and it's really not much. And I think we would have found out by now if he had a jack. Like if I'm him, I'm raising the turn with it.
Agreed.
So I think a big bet. The one thing we might not get him off is a 9. But I think we probably get him off everything else. Like
I
a
agree
3.
I agree with the full analysis, Derek. When he doesn't check raise the turn, remember the turn brought backdoor diamonds. So if he's got a jack, he's got to put the chips in on the turn. Very few players will slow play. Now that the backdoor diamond showed up, there are a number of straight draws available. 8, 7, Queen 8, Queen 10. These are all straight draws. And so he's going to want to try to get action from those draws before they miss on the river. So everybody that has a jack, not everybody and not always, but a lot of times you're going to get check raised, and you'll find out very quickly. So I knew he didn't have a jack, almost certainly. And now if he was drawing, nothing got there. And I didn't want to lose to 8-7 with 8 deuce. You know what I mean? He can call me on the flop with so many gut shots, including hands like 8-7, Queen 10. All these hands have to fold now, but they can also beat me if I just check it back. So I think once we get to this point, it's like you say, nothing got there. So it's the perfect card for me to bang it in. Now, the problem is he does have to call with all of his 9s. Otherwise, he has no calls in his range at all, and that's bad theoretically.
Right. Yeah. To your point, like one thing we know for sure is if we check, we're losing.
Which is not really a reason to bet, but it's something to think about, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you should bet, because it might also be that even if we bet, we're not going to win, right? But the only chance we do have, whatever chance we have of winning, is purely on our decision of whether to triple barrel this thing. So yeah, that's what I did.
He's told a very like honest story that he doesn't have anything.
Yeah,
and we've told the story that we have something, and it's might be pretty big because of the sizing we made it on the turn.
Yeah.
So
we're presenting a jack, I think, with a big bet on the turn and then another big bet on the river. He could easily have like a 3 or pocket 4s or like some random 9. I mean, he could have a lot of hands, and most of those hands cannot call another barrel. So that's why I decided to put in another bet. How much do you think we should bet?
I think we do have to go kind of like we definitely can't go small. We can't go like a third or something because then we probably do get called by a 3. We might get, or other pairs that he decided to play this way. I'd probably go like, man, I feel like there's some online whiz kids who would overbet the pot. I don't think I'd go that far, but I might bet like 35.
Yeah, and that's a good bet. And this is why I picked this hand, because my thinking was if he has a 9, he's going to call. If he doesn't have a 9, he's probably not going to like to see me bet any amount. And when I'm trying to buy something, I like to get the best price I can ever get. So whereas my instincts were telling me maybe I should pot it, maybe I should overbet it, in this particular instance, I went for a version of the post oak bluff where I bombed the turn, and now it looks like I'm trying to squeeze a little more value. I put in 18,000, just 5 big blinds, 18,000 into the pot of 12 and a half big blinds. And he folded immediately, which makes me think he probably just had a draw. But I'm not sure he can call that bet, even with a 3, because you hate to put in that call and you just know you're getting owned. And then you put in that stupid call and then you just lose 5 more big blinds for nothing.
Right.
Right? So that was my thinking. I just kind of put myself in his shoes and I said, if I were the small blind and Clayton bet like 40% of the pot here after he basically potted the turn, I would just be like, this guy's trying to milk me.
Yeah, I'm not falling for this. Yeah, I like your rationale. Obviously the bigger bet would have worked too. But to your point, we risk less. He does have a 9, and it worked. So yeah I like it.
Another way to play it is to just shove, like 200% of the pot on the river, and then he can't even call with a 9, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, but I don't know. Like sometimes they do find that hero call because these polarizing overbets are getting more and more commonplace, and people are figuring out that you can't just fold to all of them. So maybe like he calls with like 10-9 or better and folds 9-8 or worse.
Yeah, I definitely have a tendency to make too many calls when people overbet.
Good to know.
I just don't buy it. I'm always just like, why would he be trying to get me to fold my 9? Whatever.
Dangerous logic to employ against good players, by the way.
So to that point, like I might be more scared by your bet than if you had bet 55K.
Yeah. Bottom line, I just thought it looked scarier. And, I haven't really shown on the podcast. I mean, I haven't really run through a big triple barrel bluff in a while. And so I saw this one and I was playing the other day and I said, you know what, this one's kind of too good because that sizing on the river, I think is just, I'm pretty proud of it. It's a little bit of poetry for me.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
I should run it by Alex Fitzgerald. He's the one who really has that love of the game and the other little nuances, He's such a good. I'm reading his new book. It's really, really good.
And if Magnata Gold, the villain in this hand, is out there listening, you got owned, buddy.
He's probably sitting there like, what are you talking about? I had nothing.
Yeah, he's like, I had 6-7.
Yeah.
So I was floating.
8 high was good all along, pal. Anyway, tell people when they can catch you on the stream. You stream at twitch.tv/Killingbird. So when are you going to be on next?
I will be on. Actually, I'm kind of streaming the next couple of days, but the next sort of event will be our Sunday free roll, which people should definitely come out and join us for.
6 p.m. Eastern, the TPE free roll every Sunday. It's $1,000 that we just basically give away, which is a really good time, and it's a lot of fun. And Derek even lasted more than 20 minutes last time, which is quite an accomplishment for him.
Finally. It's taken me weeks to get that deep. Yeah, it is a really good time. We always have fun on Sundays, and I'm kind of, in a way, glad football season's over because it frees me up to fully invest my time in poker on Sundays. So we've been putting in some pretty long sessions, and it's been a good time. And also, if there's anybody out there who's on the TikTok streets, I've actually started putting a little bit of poker content on my TikTok channel. So Killingbird 13 over there, if you don't mind giving the Chinese government your personal information.
There you go. It's the least we can do for all the cheap shoes they make for us over there in China.
Exactly.
Amazing. Wow, Derek, I didn't know you were TikToking now. That's so cool.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, but I've never gotten more than like a few hundred views on anything. And I just assumed I was never meant to be a TikTok influencer. And then I actually did a video, very brief video, talking about Phil Hellmuth not wanting to play the main event anymore. And all of a sudden it went to like 50,000 views. And I was like, well, maybe I should be making some poker content. So I've just started talking about random poker stuff on there, and it's going pretty well. And it's kind of fun.
That's really cool. Guys, go on TikTok and check out Killingbird 13.
That's correct.
Killingbird 13, guys, on TikTok. Let's help him go viral. I want to make this guy go viral. I think people in their 50s should be allowed to go viral too. Why not?
I agree.
What else do you want people to know, Derek, before we say goodbye?
I think that is about it for now. We do have some fun stuff planned for the summer around the World Series, but we need to keep all of that a secret until we get a little bit closer. So make sure you keep tuning in.
All right. Each and every week, we've got the longest running poker strategy podcast ever. And for Derek, Killingbird, Tenbusch, and everybody else here at Tournament Poker Edge, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart.